The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
From the center of the galaxy, this is the ForceCenter podcast feed. I'm Ken Knapsack for another edition of Star Wars Ranked. Me and a guest ranking things in Star Wars. We love doing this show, and we love talking about figures, and that's why here today is Joseph Scrimshaw. Welcome, friend.
I'm happy to be here talking about action figures while looking at my action figures and thinking about other action figures I want.
A lot of action in those action figures. And I'll say, this is the 105th overall episode of Star Wars Ranked, but it's bittersweet. This is maybe the end of a figure journey. Oh, I'm sure we'll talk and rank figures down the line, Joseph, but we started this, who knows now, a couple years ago. We started, time flies so fast, at least a year or so, when we wanted to rank the best Power of the Force 2 figures, and from there we just kept going. And this is kind of the end of that journey, Joseph.
This has been so great, not only because I love action figures, but as you and I have shared over all these episodes, you know, we were both all in on those Power of the Force 2 as a part of Star Wars coming back to have new 3 3/4-inch action figures. And then we both dipped out at different times and then kind of reconnected more as the Disney Lucasfilm era started. And then this is the end of a line. It actually is, in a way, the action figures that we're going to talk about today have kind of a straight line of some version of Star Wars 3 3/4 action figures going from, you know, mid-90s with Power of the Force 2 all the way to this. And then obviously they continue with the vintage line, but not the same.
Not the same. And like I said, we're not necessarily done. We'll go back and take a look at all the figure lines again, alternate, you know, and who knows what's to come down the line. But this has been a lot of fun, Joseph, just kind of reliving all the memories, all the non-memories. I kind of love when you and I get to those points of our Star Wars lives where we're like, man, I didn't know they made these figures. I wasn't in stores during this time.
Yeah, some I wasn't in stores for, or some they weren't as, you know, the weirder characters that you just didn't see on Target shelves, or in particular, just it's so great to see how many just super specific Clone Wars action figures there are in an era where I wasn't yet watching the Clone Wars, and now I can go on eBay and I'm like, oh, I wish I had $150 for that one.
Indeed. And as the title said, we're just so we're all aware, we are doing this solo figure line released in April-ish. Yeah, April 13th, 2018, in the lead up to Solo: A Star Wars Story. This is described as a bit of a continuation of the Last Jedi toy line, and it featured updated versions of the Force Link technology. Ooh, big. As always, shout out to the fine folks at JediBusiness.com. We don't really know them. We're not affiliated, but we use their website as a great resource to just go back and look at all these figures, and they have great little information pieces and comments too that sometimes entertain us. So we love the work over there at JediBusiness.com. Joseph, that's the first thing to kind of start with this line. It is kind of it's a continuation. The packaging so similar. You and I were just discussing off air of, like, I was looking at my wall going, oh, that's right, that's a Solo line, not a Last Jedi line.
Yeah, it is basically, you know, they updated that Force Link technology, but it is the same style of packaging, the same sort of enhancement in terms of Force Link, instead of having the weird sort of like build a droid, or having some weird cannon or hook shot that the action figures don't, or the characters don't actually have. They have the Force Link. And it's really just that the text on the package changed from red to yellow. A couple other, you know, minor things, but that's about it. And this line is great. The Last Jedi line is one of my very favorites. I went on and on about why before on that episode, so I won't now. But it's also bittersweet because this line, I think, is like this physical manifestation of, is this one of the casualties of Last Jedi and Solo being released too close together ultimately?
I think so, in a way, right? I think so.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously, as we've talked about, the market's changing, the industry's changing. How many kids are wanting to play with kind of 5 points of articulation action figures versus, you know, hardcore collectors who want to pose characters and want to have 8 different joints around the ankle, ultimate articulation. But then these lines just bleed into one another, and I think in some ways this line, while I love the actual figures and we're going to celebrate them, made it a little hard to get into from a kid perspective.
Yeah, I agree with that, and the Solo marketing, the rollout, the big Avengers movie coming at the same time. A lot of things going into it, and you touched upon it too. We've talked about it a lot, but just the changing in the toy industry, and it's guys like you and me pushing kids out of the way in the toy aisles to get these figures, and that only goes so far. Times changed, figures change, the needs of Star Wars fans change, but these figures do exist. Some fun ones here. So, Joseph, if you're ready, let's start looking at the Solo line here.
Yeah.
Star Wars ranked. We begin. We work our way 5-1. Joseph, we're starting with your number 5.
My number 5 is an action figure that I really like, that I have sitting out on my coffee table. I look at this figure often. It is my number 5, but in some ways I think it should be the number 1, and that is Han Solo, from the movie Solo. This is the just straightforward. This is the main character in his main outfit with the dark shirt, the brownish jacket, and then the cool black shoulders, which kind of connects this jacket design to sequel trilogy jacket designs. This is if you're okay with 5 points of articulation, just a great, straightforward. That is Han Solo from this movie. You can put his blaster in his holster. That is not a euphemism. It came out weird, but it's just a straightforward, functional, great figure. The only thing that I don't like about this figure is this is the figure that comes with the reader device to make the Force Link to actually make the action figures talk. So this main character, Solo from Solo, you had to spend $30 to get the reader to make the Force Link work. And there's that part of me when I saw that of like, okay, well, that makes sense. You want to make kids enjoy the Force Link talking technology. You really want to make sure you have a good figure so that that comes with that, so they're motivated to get it. But then from that perspective of just, if you want kids to just see that movie and go, wow, that's a fun adventure, I want to play with those, Han Solo should be on a single card, available everywhere, is my strong opinion as an adult person about these action figures.
No, price to go at $29.99. That's a hard sell. And look, I don't know who. I mean, going back to even the chips and Phantom Menace, like I don't know who's dying for those. Who wants to hear just give me the figures. Maybe that's me. Maybe you're out there like, no, in 2018, I was dying to hear the figures talk. So I think having the option would have been smarter. I don't work in marketing of figures, of course, but yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And for myself, just in terms of like celebrating a movie called Solo, I bought this right away because I love that film, and in particular, it's got some big ideas that we've talked about a lot, but it's also just got this great sense of adventure, and it ends a little bit bittersweet, but on such a, hey, Han and Chewie are together, they've got the Falcon, and they're off to pursue Han's next idea that might only work okay, and it just ends on a feeling that makes me, even as an adult, just want to have a sense of play and adventure. So I wanted this action figure. I wanted it out and on my shelf so I could look at it and remember that great feeling that the movie gave me. And the only thing that would make it better for me is if this figure was on, its own single card hanging everywhere all summer.
Hey, maybe there's still time. Do you have the Force Link there to work? What's going on? Do you have? Can you hear his voice?
I got the Force Link out and messed with it a little bit, and I think it had something about. I owning it. This is a middle-aged man yells at a cloud. I needed to twist something or download something, and I was like, Yeah,
you can't download or twist.
I'm sure it's not complicated, but it really was like, it's the death of a thousand cuts that we live in this society of like, I just want to do this, so I'll fill out this form. Oh, but I forgot my password for this, so I'll do this. The day I looked at it, had already done that dance 1,000 times, and it's like, I wanted to slap it on my wrist and hear the thing talk, and I'm not doing another damn thing.
I just ran into it recently with the company, the Good People Association we're forming. I had to like log into something, and our business guy just won't give out passwords in the same email as the profile name, which I understand. But I was just like, then I don't need it. I don't. Same with a Force Link. If you give me a Force Link starter set and I have to download, I don't need it. I don't need it.
Yeah, and maybe I'll do it someday. It's a neat idea to try to have the classic, just a lump of beautifully molded symbolic plastic, and then still try to make it interactive. I think it's a really neat idea, a really great idea, and I fully embrace the irony of my position that I'm talking about this great spirit of adventure, and they're like, I'm not willing to do any work to get to it, though. But that is the truth for me. To bring it back to the positive on my number 5 here, Ken, I think it's a great figure. It's a very straightforward figure. I understand how some people who might want more articulation would be like, no, I'll wait for the vintage one they made. But for me, being a child of the original trilogy, the 5 points of articulation it's a point of nostalgia. I kind of like that this Han Solo's arm is just pointing straight at me with the blaster every time I sit down on the couch. Gives me great joy.
And look, just some comments on the figure itself for me. I think it's a great sculpt. I think the detail, the colors for I love. I don't. This is not a negative, but there's that jacket's just kind of a drab brown if you look at it quickly. But I love that jacket. And I love the look. And this is just like I said, simple, straightforward. Hey, here's Han Solo at this age in this movie, and that makes it a valuable figure.
Yeah. It is the figure that is leading the line.
Leading the line, which means that's your number 5. We're going to start my list with my number 5. And well, am I counteracting everything I just said? I don't know. My number 5 is Han Solo. Muddy Mimban Han Solo. Oh, man. Look, I got to tell you, there's a lot of things that we love about Solo's Star Wars story. There's something I just dig about Han as a grunt on the ground in the Empire with this there's Mimban Stormtroopers and a lot of different, but just these Mimban, soldiers and kind of this alternate kind of gear that are not quite an ATSD, pilot, not quite an officer, not quite started. It's just different. And to have Han in that, I mean, that goes back to a little bit of that Kenner tradition of getting Han or Luke in Stormtrooper disguise. And that carries on to me, the 6-inch Black Series. I got to have Han in a Stormtrooper outfit. And so to see it in the movie and then having this figure form and the boots are kind of muddied and there's just a lot going on. The mask, there's the breathing mask can come off. You got the cape. I just liked it in the movie and I like it in figure form. It just is one of those little quirky things. Han is an Imperial and not in disguise, but just as an Imperial. And therefore I just really like the figure.
Yeah, no, it's a great figure, and technically this is the outfit of the Mud Trooper, right?
Right.
So once you got the mask on, you got a little bit of exactly what you're describing of like it's kind of the Imperial shape. It is certainly the Stormtrooper like goggles, so it does really evoke the like, but whose face is under there? Surprise, surprise! It's Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also something in the design that really feels like the Empire's like, yeah, you got to fight in the mud. You know what? Everybody, you're Mud Troopers. We're giving you like a quarter of the armor and protection. Go out there and do it. You're kind of dressed like an officer. You're not an officer at all, but you're kind of dressed like one, and you don't have that much protection. But go out there and do your job, kids.
Go catch some laser bolts for us. And I like the connection in the movies with Han in Return of the Jedi, putting on the ATSD helmet and tricking the Empire into opening the doors and toppling their regime. I love that, but to actually see it in the movie, but to see it in figure form, to see Han kind of wearing almost the same helmet, he knows how to put it on, and I like it.
He knows how to wear that helmet. Yeah, and it is just visceral to see Han, wearing Imperial stuff, not in disguise, but because he was an Imperial. It's very cool.
He was indeed. So that's the start of our list. We're up to your number 4.
My number 4 is one that I know we both have and both love. This one, for me, is about nostalgia. We talk about this as the Solo line. It does have most of the Solo main characters, but just like the Last Jedi line, it also has other characters. And this is one of the characters not from Solo, although one could argue that there's a good connection, and that is Princess Leia Organa Hoth outfit. I love this one for a couple reasons. I've always really liked Leia's Hoth outfit. The only outfit in Empire Strikes Back that's even better for me is the Bespin Escape, which is, a lessened version of the Hoth. But the original Empire Strikes Back line, Kenner, this was the main Leia that I had. I remember the store where I bought her. I remember going up to the big pile, and I really wanted all the characters. I thought Leia was cool. I remember my dad going, "That's the one you want," right? And I was like, I really do. And staring at that, and this is the Leia. I've told this story before, where in between Empire and Jedi, I had a story where the cloud car pilot was trying to start a romance with her, and she was like, "No, I'm gonna stay true to Han." So I have such fond memories of not only that character of Leia and who she is on Hoth and the aesthetic of that outfit, but that specific action figure from my childhood. And this is just one of the greatest updates of that outfit. There's something about it, even though it is the 5 points of articulation, a little bit more simple and straightforward. It just absolutely captures the look of that outfit. There's nothing puffy or too big. It hangs exactly the way that Leia looks. And when I look at this action figure, it's just this really potent version of what action figures should do, of just connect you to that moment, that character. And it just so powerfully does that.
Yeah, no, well, absolutely. A ForceCenter well said about this figure. It's such a simple, sleek update to the classic kind of line. It really captures. It's a great sculpt on the face, and unfortunately, there was some bad history with trying to sculpt Carrie Fisher's face as a figure, and this one really gets it. And yeah, Hoth Leia is always say, like, kind of my favorite Leia. You just described the importance of it, and there's so much that I love about Leia on Hoth and what she is as a leader, and who she is, and the Han relationship and what she allows. There's so many things, and the care, concern she has for Luke, and it's all represented in this figure. But also, I never want to boil down Carrie Fisher or Princess Leia just to my levels of little Kenny finding her attractive. Hoth Leia has always been the cutest to me too. She just out there, hair up with a blaster, and I think that set the template for me going forward in my romantic life too. That's the kind of woman I want. Hair up, blaster. Giving me the what now and the what for as she saves the galaxy. And this figure, I kind of always need this figure to represent that, which is not fair to the figure. And it's on my wall too. And I just look at it, and it takes me back to just coming up a Leia fan, growing up, just kind of being, her being the one in the galaxy. Unfortunately, times the only one in the galaxy to influence me. So this figure means a lot. I'm glad you included it on the list.
Yeah, absolutely love her. And I think a part of it, to me, this one I still do have in the card. And the image on the card is a great image too, right? Because it really captures Empire Strikes Back, Carrie Fisher. Just like the lighting on her is like the great lighting of Empire, where those eyes look like both, I understand you, I'm listening to you, but also I will kick your ass if necessary, hand on hip, blaster in the other hand. It's that image is capturing a lot of what I love about this whole figure package too. And then I also just think that it is, there are a lot of figures that come up with this line that I would say don't relate back to Solo. But this is the Leia that is trying to resist admitting to herself that she is falling in love with Han. And that does really tie back to what's happening with Han in Solo and the relationship with Qi'ra. So there's just this great kind of emotional rhythm there too, that it's part of this line.
We love emotional rhythm here at ForceCenter. That's a great choice. A great choice. Your number 4. My number 4 is no surprise if people listen to me talk about this particular trooper before. There's a couple different versions, but it's basically the same. And this, of course, is the Range Trooper. I just love the Range Trooper. I like a little bit of cold weather. I like my Stormtroopers. I like the different designs. And I just was in love with the Range Trooper and their big, clunky, metallic magnet boots from the start. There's just something about the jacket that's tied into the armor. They look like Marauders themselves, and it's probably a tough gig you don't want. You're probably jealous of the Shore Troopers, but the Range Troopers got a Ford-built, tough kind of exterior to them, and I've always been drawn to them, and I love that sequence. And they're not even in the movie enough. I would have taken an entire first act with Range Troopers fighting Han. I don't know, but I just love the figure. And it's a good cut, good sculpt. We'll say that a lot, of course, when you're talking about figures, but it really works for me, Joseph. And I like everything about those range troopers.
Yeah, I absolutely love this figure. They're brief in the movie, but it's one of those troops where they've got this variety and this specificity, but you actually get to see them fully do what they're meant to do. They're out on the range. They've got those metallic, big, clunky boots. They clearly need their neck warmed by all the fur on their shoulders.
Yeah.
So they're doing what they're doing. It's always fun with action figures to kind of troop build, and that's one of the fun things of a new trooper design is having the cool new figure. This one, I think there's something about the fur that really speaks to me because, growing up in Minnesota, a cold place, obviously the snow troopers are meant for snow, but there's just this little bit more practical, rugged look to it. Like the range trooper, like the snow trooper is stationed somewhere they don't want to be, and the range trooper looks like I'm going camping during the winter on purpose, and I'm ready for it. Like there's an energy there, and it comes across in the figure, and just that great big clunky energy.
Oh, and I bet there's a dynamic at play between like snow troopers and range troopers.
Oh, yeah.
Of a certain range troopers look like they're ready to hunt Bigfoot too. There's a lot going on here. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. They can fight weird, billy goat space creatures for sure in a way that snow troopers would be falling all over themselves.
Oh, that's great. I can see that in Clone Wars Season 8 that we didn't get. Love it. I'm trying to think. I don't have this particular figure. I have I do have the Black Series 6-inch range trooper. Of course, had to get that. But maybe one day I'll add this one to my collection just for the jacket.
Yeah, the range. He's one that I have this great also sense memory because with these recent figures I really remember when I got him. But for the range trooper, I picked him up. There's the El Capitan movie theater in Los Angeles. Saw Solo there with my wife, and then there's the Disney store right across the way. It's actually connected to the theater, and at the time, they were always handing out chocolates when you went in. So every time I'd go in there, I'd get a chocolate and look at action figures. And I taste chocolate when I look at this guy because I hadn't been able to find him. And then it's like, oh, yeah.
That is. You can see a Stormtrooper? Tastes like chocolate to me.
I have nowhere else to say these things, but this specific podcast can.
This is why we started ForceCenter, to share the real honest details. That is my number 4. We're up to your number 3.
My number 3 is also I got a story of finding this guy, but I will just talk about the action figure first, and that is Quay Tolsite. Now, this is just a great figure because to me it is the sweet spot of Star Wars. It is a bizarre and intriguing character design, and then incredibly well executed as an action figure to make it. He's got the sort of the skirts of the lower part of his outfit, which have a bunch of sand on them, Kessel sand. Just that great haunting weird face that's contained in a mechanical thing with the two little snouts. But then even better than that, he's got his keys in his string and his weird little device that he sticks.
Yeah.
He sticks places. So just a great weird character with a great action figure of him, and I feel like he's the kind of character that since the Star Wars return with Disney Lucasfilm, is on the fence about whether these kind of characters were getting made. Like relatively major character, great a major weirdo, as I would say, instead of a background weirdo. So I was really glad that they made him, and he's just such a big, chunky, weird, cool character and figure. And I also did not find him by going to Target or I can't even remember if Toys R Us was still open. Then I can't remember when they sadly shut their doors. But I found him at actual Disneyland, so that was a really really nice day.
Okay, yeah. If you want to go into that in a second, my thoughts on this figure is it's a gorgeous figure for such a grizzled weirdo. It's the colors and the design. I mean, I'm looking at it here just in photo, and it's like, is that a 3 3/4? Usually, I'm not expecting this much detail and just kind of a vibrant look to such a weird character in a way. And I love that the characters in the movie. I love that the John Kasdan and team were like, yep, this is what would be. This is who would be in charge, and Pike Syndicate, and all those kind of things. And it does invoke kind of that Kenner feel of every corner of the movie gets a figure.
Yeah, exactly. He's a bigger character in the movie than in more screen time than Ponda Baba Walrus Man, but he's got that vibe, Yeah. And he's got the great black and orange. He's a good little Halloween pumpkin character too.
Yeah, because it would be, and it could very well be for a child and younger kid in 2018, but it would be like Christmas 1981 getting an Ugnaught and going, oh, but then 20 years later you're going, I'm so glad I have that Ugnaught.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because look at what's become of Ugnaughts. Look how they've grown in the world. Yeah. I mean the story is for picking him up is when my wife and I went to Galaxy's Edge, and we had this great long day of being immersed in Star Wars in the way that Galaxy's Edge is trying to make you feel like you're part of it. I made my lightsaber. I had a shack roast, the butt cows from Attack of the Clones. We got a card that had some, money on it that's, designed like a piece of money from the galaxy of Star Wars. So we had spent this day totally immersed in as though we are part of Star Wars. And then on the way out, like right before everything was going to close, there's a shop that closer to like what the Futureland, right?
Yeah.
And they normally have action figures, and sometimes it's just hundreds of the whatever the kind of current peg warmer is. It was a wall of Hux at one point from Last Jedi, and he's like, oh, I'll just bop in. And it was just one of those really made me feel like a kid. It was weird to transition from the buying Star Wars stuff as though I'm in the world of Star Wars, and then this is the shop it is totally an Earth shop, and here are the action figures you can buy that say Star Wars on them. But then it was also just that real kid-like of they had all of the Solo action figures I had been looking for that I hadn't been able to find anywhere else. And we had spent a lot at Galaxy's Edge. So I was like, okay, I was like being a parent to myself. I was like, I can only allow myself to get 2 of these. And I picked Quay, and I picked another figure that we're going to talk about. So Quay has had that, it's just the end of a really happy day, and this great button on top of like, and I found Quay Tollsite.
There's some of my Black Series Ahsoka, the 6-inch that I have, which, again, with the internet, you can order them and figure out, but there's some about finding it organically. And I was at the Disney gift shop. The other one, that's they used to be the old Disney right by Space Mountain, where you go in there and you can get those where you can pose with Kylo Ren and Chewbacca, whatever it's called. And I went in there and they had the Ahsoka there, and I couldn't find it anywhere else in a store. And it just, you're right. It just, there's something that you just kind of get all like geeked up and excited. Like, I'm going to get this and a churro and a hot chocolate on the way out, and I'm going to have the best day ever.
Yeah, I mean, just for me being a little kid, the first time that I did any traveling was when my parents moved us from Brainerd, Minnesota, to Portland, Oregon, where we lived for a little while. And so from a very young age, going places was tied to the possibility of maybe there'll be a different store that has different action figures. And every time that happens, of like, I went to a special place and it had different action figures. It just really ties back to those very youthful days.
Love it. Oh, love it. This truly is a place to share those memories there. That is your number 3. My number 3 is one I don't have, one I might intend to, but I have a lot of other versions of this character because she's one of my favorites, and a lot of you out there share that love. It is Enfys Nest with Swoop Bike. You need a swoop bike in your life. Love Enfys Nest. No secret about that. And again, it's so many reasons to love that character, but even kind of like going to Hoth, Leia, just like the design, it's so Star Warsy. I just remember the first time I really saw Enfys Nest when we didn't know who they were. And it was just like, that's a great Star Wars design. And it's intriguing, and it invokes kind of some Native American culture stuff, and kind of just a history of a community there. And will they tap into that? And I think there's still so much storytelling to tell with this character, and I hope we get it. But man, this just on a visceral Star Warsy level, this figure always pops always pops for me, and it's just great, and it's simple, and it's like again 3 3/4, so much detail. The cloak, the capes pops out to me as being very functional and real, and the helmet is wonderful. So I'm all about it. I don't have this particular version. I might track it down one day, but it's got that little swoop bike, and I think that swoop bike is just as great as the design. So that is why it's very proudly on my list at number 3. Enfys Nest with swoop bike.
Great description of everything that makes Enfys Nest great as a character and great as an action figure. I do have this one that has the extra punch of like you would have absolutely bought Enfys Nest on her own card, but that she comes with the swoop bike is the great sort of accessory love. And I only saw her once at Target, and I picked up the set, and that was it. I love also this packaging text, what it says about the swoop bikes. Little more than engines with seats, swoops are hard to control, but capable of incredible speed. That's the fun of it.
That's kind of life. Life is just a little more than something that moves fast with a seat. But hang on.
Yeah. And I think it's her Electro Ripper staff comes with. So great.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Just such a great character. And, I bang on about it, but please give me more. Enfys Nest, Erin Kellyman is so good, so good. But she's coming up as a Winter Soldier and Falcon she's in?
I don't know, because sometimes I don't pay a ton of attention to those details because I don't want the spoilers, but I really hope so.
Okay. Well, I don't want to spoil anything for you. I thought I heard that. I know she's cast in the upcoming Willow TV series as well. So,
that's great. Yeah, and can't agree enough of we need more Enfys Nest storytelling.
Indeed. So that's my number 3, which means we're up to your number 2.
My number 2 is another in the collection of new troopers that were added to Solo Star Wars story. This is got subtle differences, but subtle differences that are incredibly awesome, and that is the Mimban Stormtrooper. This Stormtrooper is extremely muddy and dirty, has a cape, and then a slightly larger forehead helmet, a slightly larger forehead on the helmet. But other than those minor differences, a pretty classic Stormtrooper. But man, when this came out, both in the movie and as a figure, I was absolutely in love. I think we've talked about before, there's a power here that my actual original Kenner 3 3/4 Stormtrooper I moved around with and played with so much looks kind of like a Mimban Stormtrooper without the cape, because it's got that dirty bend places, seen things, not great vibe to it. And I love capes. I love their history in Star Wars. I love them for superheroes. So the idea of taking what is just a slightly different Stormtrooper with that different helmet, absolutely covered in mud, but then you add a cape and it is just magic. It is like, a cocktail where you just add one simple ingredient and it changes it into this amazing new thing. And that's what the Mimban Stormtrooper is for me. Just love it.
There's something special about the muddy look. You're right. It is that discolorization of the figures that happens over time as a Kenner kid playing out in the sandbox with them. It kind of matches that aesthetic. And there's just, and again, the Mud Troopers and then the Mimban Stormtroopers to have this kind of like, I'm sure there's some tension between them and the camps too. I'm obsessed with the dynamics of troopers.
Right. Like, well, so you're the Mud Trooper. You don't really have full armor. Okay. Well, I'm a Mimban Stormtrooper. I'm a dirty trooper. Is that?
I'm a dirty trooper.
I'm a dirty trooper.
Oh, I just here we go. I did not realize I've been having a habit of not scrolling all the way down to the bottom of websites. Here, let's hear what the Force link of the Stormtrooper, Mimban Stormtrooper sounds like here. You ready here?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, here is another Force Link audio brought to you by JediBusiness.com, the Star Wars action figure database.
Thank you, Jedi Business.
Trooper, standing guard. Enemy reinforcements incoming. There they are. Blast them. We're taking.
I didn't realize it was that loud. I apologize. I just saw I could do that. Thank you, Jedi Business, for making that possible. I love that. That's very Stormtroopery.
Those are some absolute Stormtrooper classics. And yeah, totally understand that they would have advertising on it. But for just a second, I was like, well, wow, this is a real different.
The Stormtrooper's like, I'm from Jedi Business. Freeze.
Hello, welcome. Yeah,
Welcome.
that's such. I forgot that they have that on their site, and I am going to lose hours playing
Doing
all of the Force Link noises.
Oh, man. Can you go back to the Phantom Menace ones? I wonder if they have those sounds.
If they have the Comtic, yeah,
boy. Oh boy. All right. There's my afternoon.
yeah.
Great choice.
And I am lucky to have this one. This is one of the figures that I bought almost instantly when you and I walked onto the floor of Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, and never seen this one in a store, but I did see it at Star Wars Celebration and bought it immediately.
I remember it being on the coffee table in the hotel room. That packaging.
Keeping us safe.
Yeah. Great choice. For your number 2. Jeans, we're up to my number 2, and you talked about main characters earlier with Han, and we both ranked Han at number 5. Well, a little bit higher on my list is that little scoundrel. That's Lando Calrissian, and this is the figure that was a 2-pack with the Kessel Guard, which is also a pretty cool figure. But this is Donald Glover as Lando in all his glory. They really capture his face, the mustache, the hair, the scarf with the little white kind of markings on the black scarf, that cape, and that yellow shirt, that grand, just bold, bright yellow, the one that comes back and Rise of Skywalker. Love everything about it. Lando is a great character and a great just a great part of the Star Wars galaxy. And this figure to me captures Lando in his prime and all his smooth talking prime. I love this figure.
Yeah, this is great. A great figure. I love that his combo cape scarf, the way they're kind of molded together, they have that vibe that I love in Lando capes of like, there's not even an attachment. I'm just cool enough that it stays on my shoulders.
Yeah.
It got that vibe. Talk about a vibrant figure with that yellow. And it is not hard. It is not easy to capture that cool, suave vibe that Lando has. But I think this figure does it. My only little grumble would be going back to my grumbles about Han. I feel like if you're a kid and you saw Solo and you're like, into the adventure and wanted to play it, as cool as the Kessel Guard is, I feel like Lando and Han both should have been on their own cards, and they should have been easily found as 2 of the big main characters to get you into the adventure.
100% agree with that. Yeah, that is part of the bumble. Yeah. Look, Kessel Guard's pretty cool, but I'm not going to get out of that movie screaming for Kessel Guard.
Yeah, we scream for Lando.
Lando, man, Lando, love it. Great figure. I love the design. I just talking about even in the movie, just like, oh cool, we got Lando, younger Lando. What should we do? Just give him just bold, bright yellow. Just work for me.
Yeah, because he can make it work.
He can indeed. So that is my number 2. We're working our way up here. Normally we take a break. We're just going to go straight on through here, Joseph. Let's do this here. Maybe list some runner-ups, and then I'll give you my number 1. What do you have on your runner-up list?
My runner-up is the Chewie from this Han and Chewie 2-pack, which I applaud them wanting to have like every iteration of Han and Chewie out like they did in the old days. This is the Han and Chewie Mimban 2-pack. But what that means is it's kind of them from their fight. So if you just isolate Chewie, you got a nude, mud-covered Chewie with an ankle bracelet.
Hey, it's still better than the Shadows of the Empire era Chewie that I don't like.
Oh yeah, with the buzz cut.
Yeah,
the flat top. Yeah. I love it. It's such a it is always a fun exploration to be like, how can we make Chewie different? Like I have the one figure where he's actively playing Dejarik and his arms are behind his head. This is a fun, different Chewie to be all muddy. So Chewie's on my runner-up list. I had Lando in the Kessel Guard 2-pack is fun. So I had that. Tobias Beckett. Tobias Beckett is great to have. It took them a little longer because there was the first run didn't have kind of the main Solo characters, and then or not all of them, and then they came out. So they're a little harder to find. But the Tobias Beckett, it's a solid figure of one of the very main characters of this movie, both his blasters. But for me, it is a little bit of harkening back to having the Cliff from Cheers action figure.
Yes.
That now I have Woody too, and at this point I just really need Ted Danson to be cast in Star Wars, so I can get a full conversation going. I am aware that there are Cheers action figures, but I want Cheers actors as Star Wars characters.
That'd be great. Kind of like how he had his kind of random appearance in Saving Private Ryan. Can we just get a random Ted Danson in Star Wars? That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, just have him go all in and just have him behind a bar for one movie or TV show. That'd be fine. Yep. So Tobias Beckett, good figure, important character. Absolutely. It's Space Woody from Cheers.
Yep.
Also, then two other runner-ups from me. They put out a from Last Jedi, Maz Kanata with jetpack and blaster. Right. So it's fun to act that out. I like that variation in Maz and to see her on her own card. And then finally, another main character whose action figure is actually, I think, one of the cooler just aesthetically. That is Val. Really like the character of Val. Would really love to see more of Val. We talked about it on another episode. I'd be up for the idea that Val actually escaped that explosion and she just didn't want to be dealing with Beckett's BS anymore. I know other people might have other strong opinions, and I respect that, but I would like to see more of Val. This figure is particularly great because it really lets you just appreciate her costume. The costume design throughout Solo is absolutely fabulous. But to really just look at the figure and see this contrast between these kind of dark red highlights and the black and the fur and the fun sort of like belt with the different little harness bits coming off of it. It's just a great character, great figure.
Oh, great choice. Great choices. And the interesting about the Maz one, it's not one of my favorite parts of Last Jedi. It's fine. It's fine. I don't have but I want that figure, which again, it's just the power of Star Wars. It's just that thing of I don't really like that scene. Gotta have it. Gotta have Maz in that jetpack.
But she's got a jetpack and a blaster. Yeah. And she's having disputes.
Yeah, indeed. My runner-ups, Han with the M68 land speeder. I just really young Qi'ra and young Han. I like their designs. There's a Qi'ra figure in this line as well. I think the black series is 6 inches a little better, but the Han, it's a great design. It's a youthful Han, the little vest, the white vest. He just, I don't know. I've always liked the look, and I like the figure there.
It's a good look, and I think having that stark white and that stark black, kind of bring Han together, in where he's going to go.
Absolutely. I also have my list L337, great character, sculpt, great character. Rio Durant, I like Rio, a Wookiee. I love everything about him, so I got to get that figure there. And it just, you mentioned Val too and Tobias, but it's hey, those are the key part of the movie. Just those around Han during that formative chapter, short chapter, but formative chapter of his new life. You got to have those figures, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I literally did have to have them. L3 was the other of the two with Quay that I picked up at Disneyland, and I left Val, Beckett, and Rio, and it's okay, I'll find them again somewhere, or I will break down and buy them on the internet. I prefer to find them. Val, it was great. I went out to do some writing at a bar back when we could do those things. I had a martini. And then I stopped at a drugstore where they had Val, but she was, I think, $15. And I was like, I can probably get her cheaper on the internet. But I had that martini, and I'm walking home, and I'm not doing it without Val.
Yeah, nice. Good one there. I also have on the list Tally Lyncher. Now, I do believe I have this one now, thanks to a ForceCenter Alicia sending this out here. I have the A-Wing with Tally, and obviously I know everyone knows I love Tally, but it's the red packaging. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not, but it's got Force Link 2.0. So this is Tally. I have this one. I didn't think I did, but I have this one.
Yeah, which is great. It's right that you should.
Right, and I think I'm taking this one out of the box.
Ooh.
I think I am. And maybe when we find the time in our busy lives to do some ForceCenter show and tell again on YouTube, maybe that's what I'll just play with on camera. All right. Just final runner up for me. I don't have this one yet, but Rebolt and Carillion Hound. Come on. I love this one. This is just talking about weirdos in all corners of the movie. Just I want a Carillion Hound 3 3/4 scale figure.
Yeah, Carillion Hound is just a great little design, and Rebolt is one of those characters that you want to get so Han can punch him out.
Indeed. All right, we've reached the number one selections here of the Solo Star Wars figure line. And this has been a long journey. It all comes down to this. I'll go with my number one, so Joseph can close our show out here. And I do believe we've each picked a figure from the same 4-pack. What a 4-pack indeed. My number one figure is Weasel. Oh, man. Who doesn't love Warwick Davis? Who doesn't love Warwick Davis in Star Wars playing multiple characters? And in Solo, he plays a lot. But Weasel was him. It's his comeback from Phantom Menace. It's the redemption of the character itself. And it is just a wonderful figure. Great look, great design, both on screen and in the figure form. And it's priced to go, part of this 4-pack, so you gotta commit. But it's a good 4-pack, like we talked about. And this one does come with the rocket launcher too. Yeah, right. This is the one that you could launch and save the day on in the final act of the movie there. And I'm trying to look. I think that does the helmet come off or not? I don't think it does.
I don't think so.
That's the only disappointment, because I'd love to see just Warwick Davis, his face. Yeah, no of the characters he plays, just his face in figure form. So maybe there's a Weasel with a helmet, a removable helmet. But love this figure, love what it represents. Again, it's no small Weasel in this picture. It's no small little story for me. The redemption of that criminal life into becoming a marauder for a bigger cause is cool and great to have Warwick around. So that's why it's my number one figure.
I think he is a great choice. He is a great figure. I do have this 4-pack, and I'm totally with you. It could have just been this fun, like, oh, he's playing the same character that he played, but just the way that just immediately opens up your mind. The packaging text even says it. Enfys Nest's cloud riding gang of swoop raiders has attracted warriors from scattered worlds and backgrounds, like Weasel, a one-time gambler who now fights for a cause. It just invites you to think about his story. And if you got this action figure, act it out.
Love it. Love it. Great figure indeed. Do they have, does the Phantom Menace one exist? Do we talk about that?
That's a really good question.
If they don't already, and they've suggested in the past, we just need characters of Warwick Davis action figure set, like a big 20 figure box set. I'd plop down some money for that.
With this 50th anniversary Lucasfilm, that would have been a great pack. Maybe it'll come out of like all of the Warwick Davis over the years.
Yeah. Oh, let's do it. Come on. Lucasfilm. All right. That is my number one choice. But now we've reached the number one choice of Joseph Scrimshaw. Sir, what do you have?
Well, as you said, this is also from this 4-pack. I loved these multi-figure packs. They made one for Force Awakens, Rogue One, Last Jedi, and Solo, so they all kind of match, and they all provide some figures that were either some of the things same that you could find on individual cards, some you couldn't find somewhere else, some with just minor differences. And the Solo one is probably the one that knocks it out of the park. It's got the range trooper. It's got Solo on Vandor with the big jacket and the goggles. It's got Weasel. And then my number one, it's got Qi'ra. This is Vandor Kira. So the main Qi'ra that was made on an individual card is the Corellian look, which is a fun, good look. It is one of the, I would say, costume designs that absolutely works for me, but dances pretty close to feeling real world for Star Wars. And there's so much I love about the character of Qi'ra, which is part of the reason this action figure is my number one. And, I love everything that's set up with Qi'ra on Corellia, but Qi'ra really becomes this fascinating character when she is somebody who has really fought to survive and still kind of has, in some ways, to me, a heart of gold, but a heart of cold gold that has become, damaged by pure pragmatism of survival. And we kind of see the fantasy of Han through her eyes. Han is the guy who doesn't want to accept that anything can ever keep him back, keep him down. And Qi'ra wants to believe that, but she has to deal with kind of this harsher reality. And, it has made her strong and formidable physically, mentally, even emotionally. And I just really wanted a figure that represented that. So when the line first came out and we just had Qi'ra from Corellia, I was like, that's cool. Bought her right away. I was like, come on, make some of these other outfits. And finally, this 4-pack, they did. And this is the costume design that really connects in our minds to Han. It is white and black. It's the white jacket with the big black collar, big black pants, blaster, and just a great mold where just on her face, she is just absolutely in control, knows what she's doing, and is just a great representation of this character. Character had a lot of different outfits, and I would be very happy to have action figures of all of them someday. But for now, really, really happy to see this great representation of this complex, interesting Star Wars character.
Yeah, we love Qi'ra here at ForceCenter. We really do, and I just actually, quite frankly, Joseph, a moving description of what the character means and how the figure represents that. We talk about Hoth Leia, and growing up, we had the different looks of Leia, and it's more than just costume changes. It each kind of represents part of her journey, part of her personality, and I think in another time, in another era, we would have gotten, hopefully, in one movie, Leia was over different lines, over different movies, but the looks of Qi'ra and just everything those represent to the character, including the party Qi'ra with the dress, the more the film noir femme fatale kind of look when she says goodbye to Han, all those kind of different things. But this outfit is a great design, very functional, very to me kind of a 70s vibe. It fits into the New Hope era. And maybe at another time we would have gotten all that, and maybe we still can.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that's maybe you really helped me put my nose on why I like, or my finger on why I like this costume is it somehow looks like maybe a disco cowboy, but also incredibly Star Wars and cool all at the same time.
Cowboy and cool.
She's a cool disco cowboy, but Solo is it's got all these moods of 70s that really make it pop.
Yeah.
And on one just surface look, you're like, yeah, cool Star Wars costume, but it's got all of these different flavors to it that really make it work.
Yeah. Hey, I'm hoping a Disney Plus, The Reign of Qi'ra, the criminal underworld movie. I don't even need Qi'ra versus Maul. You get that, whatever. I want The Reign of Qi'ra. I love that character, and so much there. We could probably talk about Qi'ra much, much more, and I'm sure we will one day. But great little figure, and a great end to our list as we look back, not just on the Solo line, but a lot of these lines going all the way back to 1995. Like I said up top, I'm sure we're not done talking toys and merchandise and memorabilia and action figures here in Star Wars Ranked or ForceCenter overall. But it's been a fun journey, Joseph, just going all from college days to being an adult at Disneyland. We've covered it all here. Quite a journey with these figures, yeah?
Absolutely. And thank you for going on this journey. Like you said, we started with Power of the Force, and then I was like, should we keep going? And you were like, yeah, let's keep going. We were both in the same place that we wanted to keep discussing this, and it's been just a great joy for me. So thank you, Ken.
Yeah, and to all of you listening, part of that decision to kind of let's keep going wasn't just us to fill time or share our own journeys. A lot of you, these episodes get great reactions. A lot of you reach out, whether pictures of the things you have or your own stories of when you got a figure or what you love about these figures. So continue that. Whether it's in our Discord server, which you can connect through our Patreon page, or just online, we really appreciate those. That kind of spurned us onward on this figure journey, and certainly why we're not done. So we are out of here for today. Before we do, I want to let you know that you can follow us on Twitter at ForceCenter Pod. We're on Instagram and YouTube as well, and also on Facebook at ForceCenter Podcast. Also, you can get a merchandise at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. And support us by getting a free audiobook on us by going to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. And you can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You can follow me at Catnapsock or go to catnapsock.com. From there, you can link to my new endeavor, the GPA, the Good People Association, at the GPA.fun. Joseph, where can they find and follow you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, where there will be definitely pictures of some of my action figures from time to time. My handles there is just at Joseph Scrimshaw, Twitter and Instagram. And then you can go to my website, josephscrimshaw.com, for links to my comedy podcast, Obsessed, comedy albums, and future comedy adventures, all on josephscrimshaw.com.
Can't wait for more figure photos and figure conversations and figure collecting. Been a fun journey. More to come, but for now, Star Wars has been ranked.